What is up, guys? It's me, the A.L.E. Double X Prince, back with another WrestleMania debates. And we have two more to go. It's from WrestleMania 35, which means the last episode I'm going to be talking about was WrestleMania 36. But that's for next time I do that. But here's the second to last episode of WrestleMania debates. Um, so, was Charlotte, did Charlotte Flair need to be in the main event of WrestleMania 35, the first ever women's main event? Now, after WrestleMania 34, we said, while it wasn't a good show, people say that the women killed it. Ronda Rousey uh, and Charlotte had the best performances of that show. And naturally, our mind went to, oh shit, we're getting Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair. And in my mind, I was like, okay, it's pretty obvious that we're going with that, but it would be cool if someone could stand up and say, no, I'm going to be headlining WrestleMania. And that person was the man, Becky Lynch. He had a very tremendous year, a breakout year, and it was all thanks to the Marine Six, if you believe it or not. So the Marine Six, Shawn Michaels was in it, and Shawn Michaels told Becky Lynch, like around this time, Becky Lynch was taking a break, but Becky Lynch didn't know like how she felt about going back because she really wasn't that relevant in 2017. And Shawn Michaels told her to go back as a different person. Don't go back as the same person. Be different. Be unique. Be new. Be you. And it was a very inspirational thing to Shawn Michaels that Shawn Michaels said. And we for sure could have known that Becky Lynch was going to be a top player in the women's division. We didn't expect Becky Lynch to be the face of the WWE. Nobody expected this. And let me just start off by saying that Becky Lynch, for years, was always my favorite out of the four horsewomen. Like, I'm not gonna pretend that it's like, oh, she's cool now, so she's my favorite. No, she was always my favorite. She was my favorite when we had that NXT Takeover Unstoppable match. When I said to myself, she's got a story. She's got something great to her. She just needs something to click. And you know, and on SmackDown 2016, she became the first ever SmackDown Women's Champion, a right choice, and she did a fantastic job holding that belt. But then she kind of fell flat in 2017. She wasn't doing anything bad per se, but she just wasn't as relevant until, you know, 2018, where she just took that brass ring and didn't give it back. Said, Vince, thank you for the brass ring. Move, bitch. I got this. And she killed it. We were originally going to get Becky and Ronda at Survivor Series, but because of the infamous Nia Jax punching Becky Lynch, she created the man, became a big star after that accident, but we never got to see Becky and Ronda Rousey compete. Instead, we got Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair, which was a good match, and it ended in a disqualification, and it made sense the way it ended. But around this time, Ronda Rousey was turning heel. And then TLC 2018, the main event was Becky, Charlotte, and Asuka, where uh, Ronda Rousey threw the ladder off of Charlotte and Becky, and then Asuka became the SmackDown Women's Champion. And then, out of nowhere, Becky Lynch won the Royal Rumble, even though she wasn't an original competitor. It was Lana, but she got injured, so Becky Lynch took the spot, and Becky Lynch ended up winning the Royal Rumble. And it was like, oh shit, Becky's getting her moment. But then Charlotte got inserted, and people freaking hated it. And it was just terrible. And realistically, it kind of made sense that Charlotte would be added into this match. Not because she's a Flair or because she's the typical WWE corporate women that they want, but she still has some beef to deal with Ronda Rousey, and it made sense for her to be inserted. There's only one problem: they never ever brought it up. Like, it really just felt like it was Ronda and Becky with Charlotte shoehorned in there. And when we got to the match, we literally got Becky and Ronda with Charlotte shoehorned in there. They needed a reason for Charlotte to be in this match. If you were going to do Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair, I would have been behind it. One problem: nobody truly gave us a reason to give a shit. And part of the reason why people are mad that that we didn't get Becky and Ronda is because we have yet to see that one-on-one contest. And honestly, I understand. I understand why people are upset. But it made sense story-wise that Charlotte was added into this main event. The problem is that they had a terrible way of explaining that shit. It was so ridiculous. It was kind of like she wasn't even irrelevant to it. And hell, if you look at the poster, they were begging for that match to happen. There's even a poster. It's the WrestleMania 35 logo, and then just the three women. And for the first ever women's main event, I think naturally you need to have the two top women in the main event. Like, it's fine to have triple threats and fatal four ways in the main event if given the right story. This was not a good story. I wanted to see this match, but it was a terrible story. Now, a lot of people have suggested, myself included, I think we should have gotten Becky and Ronda, and then because Charlotte didn't win the Royal Rumble, or Charlotte was the runner up to the Royal Rumble, she should face Asuka, who she has beef with because it's gonna be like a year in the making of can Asuka this time beat Charlotte Flair? We'll see. And now we're more invested. We're more excited for this type of storyline. And we have now two great women's title matches. And that if we had that, we would have went home happy. With that said, were Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch a draw? Now, the obvious answer for Ronda is yes. Becky Lynch. So this was going to be a big moment for her to stand out on her own. And if she was to be known to be the woman to beat Ronda on her own, then she would have been a mega star. Everybody would have been like, holy shit, Becky Lynch is the man. She is the top face of the WWE. And it kind of hurt that it was Charlotte shoehorned in here. And the worst part about all of this is that they took the belt off of Asuka, gave it to Charlotte, who didn't deserve it, just so we could do a winner take all and have Becky Lynch hold both belts. That is a big fat problem. It hurt Charlotte. She became one of the most hated women in the planet. Ronda Rousey, could tell that this was a stupid idea, and it really hurt Becky Lynch because now they're giving her the stereotypical babyface Superman treatment, such as John Cena and Roman Reigns. Stop booking people like that. Not everybody can be Hulk Hogan, WWE. You got to find the next best thing. And then the best thing that would have been great for business was Ronda and Becky Lynch. Charlotte and Asuka, if they were under the card, in the mind, we know deep down we were gonna have Charlotte in a WrestleMania women's main event, whatever the situation is. But the fact that you have literally the three top faces of the women's division already main eventing WrestleMania, this told us that WWE was never going to try to do this ever again. They were never going to do another women's main event ever at a WrestleMania. And that really sucks because there's other women who are way deserving to be in that main event of WrestleMania spot. Bayley, Sasha Banks, Rhea Ripley. If, once we get to know her more, Bianca Belair, she would have been a great WrestleMania main eventer in the future. But we're not getting that because we already saw the three top female faces of that division. Maybe even Asuka could be main event at WrestleMania. Who knows? But it's kind of like, okay, this is not inspiring because if we did Ronda and Becky, deep down, Charlotte would fight to eventually build up more women so she could eventually main event WrestleMania. That is what I like about Charlotte. She is willing to step up to that game. Um, and and it sucks for the other women because now you know deep down we're never gonna get another women's main event. Keep in mind, WrestleMania will officially now be 2 nights. I know this year's 2 nights, but I'm pretty sure the YWC and the people in headquarters will fight for the continuing WrestleManias to continue as a 2 night event. It's just too good to like not ruin that. Um, but here's another thing. Imagine, just imagine, like how epic it would be. If years from now we know we're gonna get another women's division match, another main event for women, and we're never gonna get it. Now, if we were to never get it, okay, fine. Let's not get another women's main event. But if we were gonna do Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda in the main event, it should have just been for the Raw Women's Championship. That should have been the main goal that they were all shooting for. And because they're all fighting, because listen, this is a big, massive moment in women's history. We cannot let you down, and we should all focus on each other's feud. And it was a great way because Becky and Charlotte have been feuding over and over. And say what you will, the women can knock it out of the park. Even their weakest match, they'll knock it out of the park. Ronda Rousey has now 2 people she has to attack. That is a great story. The problem is we never told that story. But then that leaves one more question. Where do we put Asuka if we were to keep the main event of the women's division? I have 3 options that we could have done with Asuka if we weren't gonna do that whole stupid winner take all. The first option I have for Asuka, you build up Ember Moon, make her one of the final 4 entrants or the final 4 in the Royal Rumble. She loses, she gets eliminated by the man, Becky Lynch. She starts turning more cynical in her matches. She's more brutally, she's more terrifying. And she's mad that 2 SmackDown women are taking over the spot that she truly deserves. So she, because she's a member of the Raw roster, she goes on to SmackDown just out of nowhere, just attacks Asuka, beats the crap out of her, and then she starts holding the SmackDown Women's Championship and then pointing at the WrestleMania sign. And plus, Asuka and Ember Moon still have beef from NXT. We could tell that story, and then we do Asuka versus NXT. Asuka versus Ember Moon at WrestleMania 35. That's my first option. Option 2, you do Asuka versus the winner of the Women's Battle Royal. That winner is Kairi Sane, and then it's Kairi Sane versus Asuka, and they have like a friendly match. Asuka beats Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane is obviously upset, but Asuka has a lot more respect for Kairi Sane and teased that they could either face off another time, another day, and also this would be the perfect way to reunion or bring up the Kabuki Warriors together. That is my second option. Option 3, at the Royal Rumble, because Ronda Rousey helped Asuka win the SmackDown Women's Championship at the Royal Rumble, we do Ronda Rousey versus Asuka, title for title, and then we unify the belts. Ronda Rousey goes on to WrestleMania as a heel, because I don't give a fuck what Ronda Rousey says. She's a fucking heel because Ronda Rousey is a bitch. Anyways, she unifies the belts. She's carrying that brand new looking belt. Or we could have her carry both, and then at WrestleMania, we reveal the brand new belt, which Becky Lynch will take, which will be an epic moment. And yeah, we unify the belts, because if we're gonna have the women's division be like a top phase, like we should have at least just one belt. Less belts equals more prestige. That's how I see it. What do we do with Asuka in this scenario? Well, Kairi Sane debuts a little early to the main roster. She has a couple of good singles matches, but she still needs some work done, so Asuka's willing to train with her. They have some good kick-ass tag team matches, and then we do Bayley and Sasha versus the Kabuki Warriors at WrestleMania for the SmackDown or women's tag team championships. That would be a very cool thing to watch at WrestleMania. Bayley and Sasha versus the Kabuki Warriors, and then you could turn the Kabuki Warriors heel right after. That would just be epic. And trust me, the Kabuki Warriors are easily by far the best women's tag team champions, behind Bayley and Sasha. So this is just great. Instead of just shoehorning a lot of other random people, but this will definitely motivate more women to form tag teams and be unique and not just be a bunch of people just thrown in together like Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. That is the most epic way you could have helped out Asuka. But the fact that they just put her in the women's battle royal and they didn't even win, Carmella won that shit. It's just so disappointing, and it really showed us that they didn't give a fuck about Asuka ever. And that's the problem. They don't give a fuck about you until there's absolutely nobody left. That is so horrible. That mindset that WWE has. Vince McMahon, in particular, this fucking old senile retard. Get the fuck out of here. Anyways, so the biggest question is: did Charlotte Flair need the first women's main event? The answer is yes, if the story was told right. And the story was just kind of sloppily told. Like I said, personally, I would not have her in the main event because, like I said, Charlotte will eventually want to main event WrestleMania, so they will bust their ass off to do another women's main event. Because even Vince knows that he would want Charlotte Flair to main event a WrestleMania, so he'll have no choice but to start building up all these other women that are coming up, like a Shayna Baszler, a Rhea Ripley, a Bianca Belair, a Naomi. They could probably build up Nikki Cross if they ever tried again, but I think she's done for. Hell, we could do Asuka and Charlotte again down the road, and hell, that could be the main event someday. But this just told us that we were never gonna get a women's main event ever, another one. That is super upsetting. Hopefully, down the road, a Bayley and a Sasha could bust these other women to do another thing. Becky Lynch could come back. She could like help out as well. It's just gonna be great knowing that we have people in the wrestling business that do give a shit and are willing to do something new and try their best to do something unique. We're just waiting and hoping that that will happen again. It's me, the ALE Prince. The final episode of WrestleMania Debates comes from last year's WrestleMania, and the question is, was WWE right to continue WrestleMania 36 following the pandemic? What do you guys think? It's me, the ALE Prince. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And until then, I'm out.